Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Monster Hunter. Today we're talking about Longsword at last, kicking off the first of my builds for Title Update 4. Now of course the Title Update 4 changes bring big change to gear set meta in general, your weapons and your outfits, thanks to things like Transcendence, and of course the new Gogma Artian. There were some minor balance changes for different weapons, such as Longsword. We had one particularly cool change, which is basically when you go into your special sheath for say an EI counter, you get to hold the stance for a lot longer, which is definitely nice for people who pull the stance out too early in those moments of uncertainty, and I think a lot of us do that. So it helps you hold the position for a bit longer and land the counter. Important changes were say the 2-set bonus of Udra, which was buffed in one of the earlier title updates. We're talking, of course, about Burst Boost. And while level 2 is a cool concept, now we can actually tag Burst Boost 1 and get its perks in a reliable way. So that's plus 8 raw when the burst is active. And with the Transcendence, as you can see, you can take the previous slots and upgrade them by 1. So this used to be a 2 and a 1 slot, now it's a 3 and a 2, which is significantly better. Then you think about the fact that it comes with a Burst and Divine Blessing as well. It's just actually a really good piece. Then you have, the weapon rolls themselves, where we're getting the set bonuses on the weapon. So as you can see, I'm able to get the other part of Ebony, allowing us to reach Burst Boost 1 through one piece of my weapon and through one piece of Odo. The other exciting part of this is say the set bonus skill of gore magala, where we're activating the frenzy on ourselves and can run antivirus and get all that affinity. Classic, meta, very awesome thing. But now, you don't need to run 2 pieces of gore if you have it on your weapon. There's also the group skill you can get here, which is Guts Tenacity. So you might normally run, say, 3 pieces of Gamma from the Apexes for its percent increase to your raw. So again, freeing up another slot by having one of these group skills on your weapon is a really cool thing. So it's really shifted things up. Before we properly get into it though, of course I want to give Josh his credit for understanding the Gogma Artian rolls for your group skills and set bonuses, comparing the math for what's better, deciding the builds themselves and the math behind that. We need to give him credit for the work that he does on these builds. Continued thank you to the data miner for the RNG Talisman system itself when that was introduced. We still rely on that information. So thank you to DTL Null. We have a lot to cover today, so let's begin. We begin with the important talk about your Gogma Artian. Longsword is thankfully relatively straightforward with its attack boost focus, and then say its offensive decorations also being largely about critical and a bit of razor sharp. But obviously a big question comes up when you're crafting these, because when you actually upgrade to Gogma Artian with the attack focus, which is what you'll be doing, you'll be gaining that 10 raw, but you'll be losing 15% affinity, which certainly isn't nice. So the question comes up when you're actually reinforcing these. Should you stick with 4 attack boost and then the 1 sharpness? Or is it better to say have one line that gives you a bit of affinity to counter the negative of that minus 15% affinity? Well, in our findings, the 10 raw you gain wins out over the minus 15% affinity. It definitely beats the affinity focus, because as you stack these lines of extra raw, plus 12, plus 9, plus 6, the value of that is immense, and it's very hard to get that in your gear set, where getting extra affinity in your gear set is actually a lot more achievable. Now, I don't have the perfect roll, obviously, because what's possible is attack boost EX times 2, like I have here, the sharpness EX, which I have, and then I have attack boost 3 and attack boost 2. The ideal, optimal roll will be attack boost 3 times 2 instead of having one that's slightly weaker. So I get plus 24 from the 2 EXs and plus 18 from the 2 attack boost 3. So I'm missing 3 attack power because I don't have the perfect roll yet. So with the perfect Artian here, I would have 257 attack for the base of the weapon, which is obviously fantastic, but you don't have to just take our word for it. An Affinity Gogma has 215 base roll. So you multiply that from the 15% affinity, and then the 32% from white sharpness, and that gives you 295 effective roll. Then you do the attack Gogma in its base, 235, and times that by 0.975 because, minus 10% affinity, so you lose. But then again, 32% from white sharpness, and you still get more at 303 effective roll. And again, we can address the affinity issues through the gear set, so we think this is a solid basis to go from. Naturally, it doesn't entirely reflect how many build variations can change things, and there will be case by cases where it might be better to have affinity, but as we go through each weapon and work out the builds, this is what we found so far. So it's a good base to build on. For the set bonus, you're going to aim for either Ebony Odogron's power to lean into burst boost, or you're going to lean into Gore Magala's Tyranny for Black Eclipse 1, that's the Gore 2P set bonus for Frenzy. They are not equal. We have two builds that are going to like max juice this as much as possible. And you'll see that one is slightly better than the other. But they're basically your two top options, so you aim for either one of those and then form a build around it, which we'll provide today. For the set bonus though, it's so obvious. It's Lord Soul, the Guts Tenacity, that 5% to your base raw is fantastic. If you don't want to element match, then you can just go for something simple like paralysis, like in this example. But you do want to element match as much as possible. The idea is that you're not investing in the element, you're just gaining some extra element against the target. So for Gogma, of course, we're going against him. We're starting with fire and swapping to dragon midway through the fight. So those are the two that I've been working on. The offensive decorations are the same as always though. You get 5 out of 5 crit boost via 2 of the offensive decoration slots, and the last slot goes to your sharpness manager, so we go for razor sharp here, with an extra level handicraft if you can. But now let's get into the sets. There's a lot of RNG in Title Update 4, so here's a set that uses none of it. As you can see, we have Ray Gamma, New Udra Gamma Chest. We have the Afi Arm Guards, which is one of the tribal armors to be specific. The reason for that is because we can now upgrade it via Transcendence. So instead of being just a 1 decoration slot, which is 100, we upgrade everything to 211. Then you get 2 levels of burst. Then again, we have the Ray Gamma for the waist, and then the Zuwu Beta legs. Again, importantly, when transcended. Going from 220 to 331 decoration slots. Amazing. Plus 1 level adrenaline rush. Awesome. So that's why we use these pieces alongside the power charm to allow us to maximize latent power. Here are the decoration slots to achieve this skill list. That's page 1, and then this is page 2, which is just the set bonuses and the group skills as well. With the perfect Gogma Artian setup, you'll have 257 base roll. Let's multiply that by 5% thanks to your Guts Tenacity, and that brings you to 269.85. Then you have all the flat additions as listed here, bring you to 327.85. Multiply that by 32% from white sharpness, you get to 432.7. We have 68% reliable affinity from these sources, and don't forget that minus 10% from the base Gogma. Still nearly 70% affinity with that in mind. We're running 5 crit boost, so we're still getting that 40% damage increase, but 68% of the time. So we multiply that by a last number, and it gets you to a very respectable 550 effective roll, with no RNG Talisman and no RNG Gogma like set bonus or group skill required. So everyone can have an incredible start at this point for Longsword and Title Update 4. However, plenty of us have been playing the game for a long time. We have good RNG Talismans at this point. So what can you do if you do have a good RNG Talisman, but you haven't got the Gogma RNG yet for the set bonus and group skill? Here's the set for you that's even better. We have the Ray Gamma Helm, the new Udra Gamma chest piece, the newly improved Guardian Ebony Braces from Guardian Odo. So when transcended, it goes from a 2 and a 1 slot to a 3 and a 2, making this incredible. You get the Burst Boost set bonus, you get 1 level burst and Divine Blessing. Such an awesome piece now. Then again, we have the Ray Gamma Waist, and then for the second part of Burst Boost, we have Guardian Ebony Odo for the boots in beta as well. Again, when transcended, you upgrade the decoration slots, so it goes from a 2 and a 1 to a 3 and a 2, which is significantly better. Then that brings us to your Talisman. You have a few options here. The simple version is 3 attack boost, and then a secondary skill. The secondary skill could be something like Weakness Exploit or Adrenaline Rush, and then you change the decorations inside the gear to, match the skill list that we have. But it's important that the Talisman has those 2 extra 1 slots to allow for quick sheath levels. With Longsword, we need it. So you can see how I fit that in this way. There is an alternative though. If you have a Critical Eye Talisman, you could replace the attack boost and go for 4 Critical Eye via the offensive decoration slot as well, in place of the 4 attack boost. Then, you get those 2 extra 1 slots to fit in quick sheath, and the secondary skill again just has to be something relevant, something you're actually decorating for. So Adrenaline, Weakness Exploit, if you have the slots for it, like I don't on this Talisman for example, it's an alternative. But anyway, for that base version I showed, here are the decorations that I use to achieve this skill list. So that's page 1, here's page 2. We can see the set bonuses and the group skills. Pause when you need to. Again, the ideal Gogma Artian would be 257 base raw. We multiply that by 7% thanks to attack 4 and Guts Tenacity, bring us to 274.99. Then we have these flat increases, as you can see, bring us to 333.99. Multiply that by 32% with white sharpness, you get 440.86. Then we have 68% reliable affinity from these sources, the 5 crit boost, so 40% damage increase but 68% of the time. Multiply that by a last number and that brings you to 561 effective raw. But interestingly, you can get a little bit more effective raw if you go with the 4 crit eye, 1 weakness exploit or adrenaline rush talisman that we highlighted, as well as an alternative. So there's 2 versions there to consider. And obvious that the RNG Talisman does open up new avenues for more effective raw than the guaranteed craft everything version. But now it's time to get into the ideal sets and god rolling in the current meta. So I have 2 versions here. You have the burst boost version if you got burst boost via your weapon on Gogma Artian, or the gore version if you got that on your Gogma Artian. As you can see, I kind of have that. I've got burst boost on my fire element, but I also rolled burst boost on my dragon. It was the paralysis that I managed to get gore on, but I'd rather element match where I can, so more than often than not, I'm using the burst boost version. But with that said, let's now take a look at the burst boost set, if that's what you've rolled on your weapon. So as you can see, we have the Ray Gamma helm, the new Udra Gamma chest piece, we have Gog gloves in beta, we have the new Gog waist in alpha specifically. This is important because it gives you a set bonus. The alpha waist gives you the set bonus for Ebony Odegron to actually activate burst boost. So between your weapon and this piece, you'll activate it. And then finally, we have the Gore boots for beta. Then for your RNG Talisman, you have like a bit of space here. But basically, it's either crit eye or attack boost 4 levels. You get 3 levels on the Talisman and then the offensive decoration slot goes towards it. So in this case, it goes towards attack. And then you must have 1 extra 1 slot so you can actually fit in your 3rd level of quick sheath. Having an extra 1 slot after that is a convenience thing but not required. You just need to make sure that the secondary skill is one that you're decorating for, so that's adrenaline rush or weakness exploit. So this is a great example. But an alternative could be exactly this. Crit eye 3 and then we decorate the 4th level crit eye. We got that weakness exploit level or adrenaline rush and then the extra 1 slot to fit in that 3rd level of quick sheath. That's your alternative. But yet with this example and this skill list, you can see that we use these decorations to achieve this skill list. This is page 1, pause if you need to. This is page 2, again with the set bonuses in display, so burst boost and black eclipse both activated. And then for the last relevant page, we have Lord Soul activated for guts tenacity. Taking a look at the math then, if I had the ideal longsword, my base raw would start at 257. Multiply that by 7% thanks to guts tenacity and attack 4, and that gets you to 274.99. Then you have these flat increases, getting us to 335.99, multiplied by 32% for white sharpness, that gets you 443.5. Then we have 75% reliable affinity from these sources, and then 5 crit boost for a 40% damage increase, 75% of the time, so multiply that by a last number, and that brings you to 576 effective raw, nearly 600 now. Absolutely incredible what the Gogma RNG is making possible. But you could technically reach a bit higher if you went for the Gore version, having Gore's Tyranny set bonus on your weapon instead. So if you have that better RNG than the Burst Boost version, we've got the set for you. So again, as you can see, I have the Gore Tyranny on my paralysis weapon, but I'd rather be element matching if I could. And again, on this version, I actually don't have the perfect roll. I do have the attack boost EX times 2, and I do have the attack boost level 3, but I don't have the EX sharpness boost. But that's fine with me, because at least I get to show you the base roll being 257 now. So for the weapon that actually has Gore Magala's Tyranny on it, importantly also Lord Soul, Gamma Helmet for Ray Dow, Gamma Chest Piece for New Udra, we have the Guardian Ebony Braces for Ebony Odo for the 1st level of Burst Boost. Important that you transcend this, so it's got the improved decoration slots. We have the new Gog Waist, again in Alpha, so that you actually get the Burst Boost set bonus here. That gets you the 2-piece between the gloves and the waist. And lastly, we have the Gore Legs in Beta, getting you the Gore Magala's Tyranny set bonus, thanks to your weapon and these boots. For the RNG Talisman, same rules as before. So 3 attack boost with 1 offensive decoration going to the 4th level of it. And you must have 1 extra 1 slot decoration so that you can get 3 levels of quick sheath in the build. You do not need this 3rd 1 slot. It's just a convenient thing. The 2nd skill on this talisman needs to be Adrenaline Rush or Weakness Exploit, but again you can do the alternative with Crit Eye, such as this Critical Eye 3 with the 1 slot decoration going to the 4th level of Critical Eye, and then that one slot being used for quick sheath, and then a secondary skill being weakness exploit or adrenaline rush. Either or would work. But with that first example, here is the gear set again. Here are the decorations that I use to achieve this skill list. This is page 1, this is page 2, the third page, and the final page, which isn't relevant to be fair. For the math of this one then, we actually have 257 base raw, multiplied by 7% from guts and attack 4, bringing you to 274.99. You have the flat increases from these sources, bringing you to 337.99. Multiplied by 32% from white sharpness, that's 446.1. Then you have these sources for 75% reliable affinity and 5 crit boost, so that's a 40% damage increase 75% of the time. So multiply that by a last number, and that brings you to 580 effective raw. That's 4 more effective raw than the burst boost version, where you have burst boost on your weapon. So ever so slightly stronger and technically better to have Gore Magala's Tyranny on your weapon compared to burst boost. But obviously, either one is fantastic. Finally, Josh did want me to include a no RNG version where you don't have the RNG Talisman, but you do have the RNG weapon. So let's say, like me here, you have Gore Magala's Tyranny on your weapon, but not a good RNG Talisman. What would you do instead? You would equip the Exploiter Charm 2 for 2 levels of weakness exploit in your Talisman slot. We would take the Guardian Ebony Helm in beta and actually transcend this, so that's a 3 and a 1 rather than just a 2 slot like mine because it's not transcended. You still go with the new Udra Gamma chest. You'd still go with the Guardian Odo gloves in beta to get burst boost going. You'd use the Gore waist in beta to get the 2-piece of Gore Magala's Tyranny going from between that and your weapon. And then we'd go with Duna's legs in Gamma. And overall, you'd rejig the decoration slots to have the same skill list as before, but you'd lose the attack 4 obviously, or crit I4 if you're running that either. But then you would actually gain 1 agitator. So not as good, but not a massive step back. If instead you had the Ebony Odogron power, the burst boost on your weapon, you'd again equip the Guardian Ebony Beta Helm, but again you'd actually transcend it unlike me here. So you'd have a 3 and a 1 decoration slot. Again, you've got the new Udra Gamma chest piece. Again, we've got Gore for beta gloves. We'd go with the Gore beta waist. And just like the other no RNG set, we'd go for the Duna Gamma to get the quick sheath levels. And again, for the Talisman, we'd equip the Weakness Exploit Talisman. So it'd be the same skill list via your decorations as before, but you would lose attack 4 or crit I4, but gain 1 agitator. So there's an alternative for you. Ultimately, this is a major leap forward for the effective raw of longsword and should definitely give you a lot of potent things you can work towards. I hope that the many variations and 2 main focuses of whether you've got Gore on your weapon or whether you've got Odo on your weapon, alongside Lord Soul of course, lets you kind of have a positive conclusion if you roll either one of them. As we've shown though, technically the highest high belongs to the Gore set, with Gore Tyranny on your weapon, but it's not a major difference between them. So once again, huge shout out and thank you to Josh for his work on this, and I'll be back covering my other main weapons on the channel with more builds very soon. Until then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.